Legendary Associated Press reporter Richard Pyle has died. Pyle oversaw the AP's Pulitzer Prize-winning Saigon bureau during critical years of the Vietnam War and stood as one of the pillars of the AP for nearly 50 years. From his early days as a cub reporter in Michigan all the way to the miracle on the Hudson in 2009, Pyle had an uncanny knack for being where news happened.
Unquestionably, Richard Pyle was one of the greatest AP journalists, and that's saying a lot because the AP has employed some of the greatest journalists ever. We walk among giants, and Richard Pyle is one of those giants.
From Watergate to 3 Mile Island to 9/11, Pyle's steady hand was there, a reporter's reporter.
To me, he was the epitome of the best kind of reporter, someone who goes out with his notebook in hand, asks questions, tries to get to the bottom of things, tells it without flourishes, just straight what happened, and who really had an amazing passion for news.
Pyle spent 5 years in Vietnam for AP, the last half of that time as bureau chief. At a reunion of Vietnam reporters in 2000, Pyle said of all the history he witnessed over his career, the Vietnam War was the story he was born to cover.
All the sadness and all the other elements of it helped to make it the greatest story of the decade and one of the great stories of the 20th century. And the fact that I was here gives me solace and comfort every day. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
While in Vietnam, Pyle arranged for a young reporter named Edie Lederer to become the first woman to cover the war full-time for the AP. Lederer is still with the AP as United Nations correspondent.
I think his legacy will be not only all of those historic stories that will remain forever, but also his commitment to those incredibly high standards of journalism, which AP and everyone who works for it cherish.
Pyle died Thursday of respiratory failure. He is survived by his wife, Brenda Smiley. He was 83. David Martin, The Associated Press.